Thank you. So talking about overcomplicating things, Lane, Jackson, this one's probably a little bit more for you. Given the kind of rising interest in nutrigenomics and nutrigenetics and the number of companies that are now offering personalised nutrition based off evidence that's still so much in its infancy.
Take it.
Do you... What role, if any, do you think personalised nutrition will have in optimising practices for training?
So I would actually really love to get your answer on this too. I hold out hope that we will find certain genomic things that may predispose us to have certain diets work better for us. There have been a few research studies that have looked at this, Diet Fits being the biggest one, which was a 12-month study where they looked at, basically they were looking at low carb versus low fat diets that were equated in calories over a year period. And they also did like a sub-analysis of this where they were looking at people who were like naturally high or low insulin secretors and whether they did better on a low or high carb diet. And the results thus far have been extremely disappointing. It doesn't seem to make a damn bit of difference. And they've seen these also with like some gut microbiome stuff. So any company right now, and again, people will hear this and they will take the wrong takeaway. I'm not saying gut microbiome isn't important, and I'm not saying genetics aren't important. What I'm saying is we don't know enough about those things to be able to make recommendations based on the information we get from these tests, okay? And any company marketing as such, in my opinion, is doing so irresponsibly.
Yeah, so my take is that in the next probably 50 years, personalized nutrition and training based off genetics will probably be the biggest revolution inside the fitness industry that we'll see. But we are a very long way away from that. And the analogy that I've said in the past is like, you've got like a lotto ticket. It's like you've just scratched the fucking corner. Like that's what we've got at the moment, and the rest is unknown. And a lot of these commercial genetics testing companies will try to tell you what you're intolerant to and whether you're better on low carb or high carb. They rely on these things called single nucleotide polymorphisms. And for something like eye color, you can look at these SNPs that they call them, and it can be very easy to work out what eye color you might be predisposed to because there's a very few number of SNPs that are involved in the expression of that characteristic. But when we're talking something like muscle gain or fat loss or complex physiological mechanisms, some of the science suggests that there could be thousands of SNPs involved in the expression of this trait. So the idea that we can somehow get an idea of how to personalize nutrition and training at this stage, when we're looking at a couple of SNPs for these characteristics, is just damn right delusional. But it is an exciting area, and I think over the next sort of 50 years, it will be the biggest thing that will change the game, probably.
I'll add one thing to that. It's like, so when they discovered the pyramids, they found hieroglyphics, right? So we're at the stage where we found the hieroglyphics, but we don't have the Rosetta Stone to interpret it, okay? So what you're dealing with is companies just vomiting out a bunch of hieroglyphics and then kind of randomly making recommendations based on that. Or, sorry, a better way of saying it would be, we can translate about 0.5% of it, like Jackson said. We don't have the full Rosetta Stone to really understand what we're looking at. And more to the point, and this kind of builds into mechanisms as well, people will look at an isolated mechanism, right? Say mTOR signaling, okay? And then they will jump to muscle growth because we know that the accumulation of muscle tissue involves mTOR being stimulated, which stimulates muscle protein synthesis. But when you're looking at mechanisms, when you're looking at a physiological outcome, muscle gain, fat loss, whatever it is, you are looking at the summation of thousands of mechanisms. To just splice out one and say, well, that did that, so that's going to do that, and then we're going to have X as a physiological outcome, you cannot do that, okay? And so one thing, again, to go back to the speech I gave, always value hard physiological outcomes over mechanistic data. So for example, my friend Paul Saladino loves to go in supermarkets and scream about individual ingredients and stuff they do, right? So he'll go in and say oatmeal is going to make you unhealthy because it's going to leach vitamins out of your diet and this and that. If only we had human randomized control trials where they give oatmeal and look at health. Oh, wait, we do. And what do we see? People who eat more oatmeal tend to be healthier, have less insulin resistance, better cardiovascular fitness. Like, value hard human outcomes because you can always find something mechanistic or genetic or whatever to like hack together an idea of whatever you want to be true.